In the name of God, the compassionate and merciful, I will have, God willing, a very brief presentation of on religious experience. And I would like first to mention what I mean in my presentation by religious experience, because normally in philosophy of religion, when they refer to religious experience, they may use it as something that can substitute having intellectual arguments for religious claims, especially for existence of God. And some people have tried to use this as a way to argue for existence of God without being able or without being in need of having, any rational proof. And some people also then tried this concept of religious experience to define revelation, prophetic revelation, as a kind of experience that a prophet may have with God, and then he will share it with other people. So my usage of religious experience in this presentation is not necessarily like that. My usage, I think my colleagues also maybe perhaps used it in this way, is that a kind of deep experience that is not something that non-religious people can have. If there is a kind of joy, is a kind of only hope, or a kind of, sadness, a kind of seriousness, that non-religious people also can have it, then I don't think that is religious experience. In my understanding, it's a type of experience that only a believer in God can have. It's a kind of encounter with the ultimate reality that brings, on the one hand, humility and awe to you, and on the other hand, opens the eyes of your heart to a great reality. And between you and this great reality, depending on the depths of this experience, the distance becomes closer, becomes less and less, and you become closer and closer, and it can reach the point that there would be no veil between you and God. So it's in this sense that I'm going to use religious experience, although it has different degrees, it has different levels, but this is something that if you don't have it, it's very, much sign of not being really making progress in your religious life. If your religious life is a matter of just having physical actions or certain doctrines, memorized and, accepted or declared or professed, it's not enough. So we can discuss it in three levels. One is something for ordinary believers who are trying to live a life of piety and alertness and spirituality. This is making them available to have some level of religious experience. And then when it comes to the people who have devoted their lives to God and to bring light to themselves and others, it's a higher level of religious experience. And when it comes to the prophets, it's the highest level of religious experience. So for ordinary believers, or you can say for the believers who have not yet reached the level of being mystics or RF, still there can be very strong either moments or hours or sometimes even days of being very much in deep connection with God. But normally for them this does not last too long. because these are the people that are at the same time very much engaged with day-to-day life, and they have not yet been able to reach a level of unity that would enable them to see everything as an act of God and every quality as a quality of God and every being as a manifestation of God. So since this has not happened to them, they will have moments or hours or days of deep connection with God, but not continuously and not to the level that they can understand many things from the hidden world. For example, imagine a person that is in a deep experience of prayer, especially maybe in, for example, the middle of the night, in some of the recommended prayers, maybe you have this feeling. Or sometime maybe even during your obligatory prayers, it happens that you feel that the conversation with God in prayer turns into a different experience, as if the door is open to you. Imagine you are behind a gate and there's a need for a password to say it, and then the gate opens for you. So we have the password, and that's the prayer, but the password doesn't work all the time because we say it by mind, we say it by tongue. But if we say this password by heart, then the gate is opened. This is why we have many hadiths that presence of heart is a very important condition for acceptance of prayer. Our scholars distinguish between validity of prayer and acceptability of prayer. If you perform your daily prayer, your ritual prayers, with the conditions which are introduced in jurisprudence, your prayer is valid. You don't need to repeat it. You will not be questioned by God why you didn't say your prayer, but it would not be necessarily accepted. This is a totally different thing. Acceptance of prayer means you must have religious experience. Acceptance of prayer means that your heart must be present during the prayer, which means that the password is said by heart so that the gate to the kingdom of God is opened. And this is the only time that your prayer can be ascension. We say, as-salatu mi'rajul mu'min. Prayer is ascension for a believer. But not every believer who says his prayer or her prayer would be able to ascend. Some people would say the prayers and they don't even ascend for an inch. But we are supposed to say it in the way that we can ascend to heaven. And every prayer should just take us further and further. And if God forbid outside prayer we did something that we came down, we descended, then again we have tried to go high. So this is a kind of religious experience that we are expected to have in every time that we are making our prayer, and without this our prayer is not accepted, and our prayer is not going to help us spiritually. We have just fulfilled an obligation, but not without benefiting from it. Or for example, outside ritual prayers, when we are supplicating to God, when making dua, not salat only, we make dua. Here also, we should make our dua with a heart which is present, and we should make our dua with humility and with maximum hope. If you are doing your dua with humility and hope, these two will make sure that you are in a spiritual mode. You are not in just a physical or mental mode. You are in a spiritual mode, and you can connect to God. Many times people actually maybe find it more easy to make their connection when they are supplicating, for example, Du'a Kumail or Du'a Arafah, because the whole setting and the presence of other believers and the atmosphere of the day, and if they are lucky, if they are in a holy place, maybe all contribute to feel even more connected than their daily prayers. This is not have to be the case, but many people maybe experience it like this. So if you ask them throughout the year, what were some of your most important religious experiences, maybe they say, when I was reciting Du'a Arafah, or when I was in the shrine and we were reciting Du'a Kumail, for example, or Du'a Tawassul. Sometimes this happens during the pilgrimage, because when you are acting as a pilgrim, it means that you have already decided to pause your worldly engagements for a few days. You have left everything behind and you are on a pilgrimage. So from the time you leave your home, you are making it very clear for yourself that I am on a journey, I've embarked on a spiritual journey, and when you reach the holy shrine, then you are already prepared to have some deep religious experience. And if you don't have it, if you don't feel it, you feel something is missing, something is wrong. This has to be the case with every ritual prayer, but unfortunately, maybe we don't, expect it like that. But when we go for pilgrimage, when we go to Mecca or we go to the shrines of the Prophet and Imams, we would certainly prepare ourselves and expect that something very spiritual must be experienced by us. So for believers who are trying to live by religion, but still they have not made great success, and they have not reached the point of certainty, or they have not achieved Hayat Tayyibah, at least these experiences are available in addition to some personal moments. Sometimes when people, for example, receive the sad news of demise of a dear one, they become very spiritual. Or some people, maybe less, but this is also possible. When they have very good experience of success, or they receive the good news of, for example, being given a child, etc., maybe they become very spiritual. But it's not very continuous. The second group are the people who have lived a spiritual life. They have been consistent, almost consistent, although maybe sometimes they were not at very high mode, but overall they were consistent. They have worked for their spirituality and piety. They have tried to do everything with presence of heart and with sincere intention, and they have been doing muraqabah. They have been monitoring themselves. So for them, what happens is that there will be flashes of light, and these flashes of light gradually become more frequent and more lasting till it becomes continuous. I would like to refer to what Imam Ali alayhi salam has said about such people. For example, in Sermon 218 of Nahjul Balagha, Imam Ali says, قَدْ أَحْيَا عَقْلَهُ وَأَمَاتَ نَفْسَهُ. He talks about the people who have revived their intellect. This needs explanation. What does it mean to revive the intellect? To make it short, when you don't act according to the instructions of your intellect, it's a sign of killing your intellect. When intellect is not used, is not trusted, is not followed, you are weakening and finally almost killing your intellect. But when you try to reflect, to think, to accept with reason, to reject with reason, to give reason the chance to reflect, to correct, to prove, then you are strengthening and reviving your intellect. And this means وَأَمَاتَ نَفْسَهُ. And then this means that you are getting rid of nafs ammare, the soul which is uneducated, the soul which is not purified, the soul which is commanding just to do bad things. That soul is now destroyed. And you have moved to a different level of soul, which is nafs al-lawwame and then nafs mutmainne. So Imam Ali says this person or such people are the people who have revived their intellect. They have got rid of their nafs ammare. حَتَّى دَقَّ جَلِيلُهُ وَلَّطُفَ قَلِيلُهُ. To the extent that they become very soft. There is no trace of harshness and hard-heartedness. They have become very soft, very gentle, very sensitive. This is what we need. You know, many artists, many poets, they have soft heart. People who have wisdom, they have soft heart. And this is why their emotions become strong. But emotions should be originating from intellect. Otherwise, they are not a sign of progress. So, when they have become so sensitive, so soft, so gentle, then what happens is وَبَرَقَ لَهُمْ لَامِعٌ كَثِيرُ الْبَرْقِ. Imam Ali says, then there would be a flash of light which has lots of light. It illuminates. It's not the light that you can experience by anything other than connection with God. Certainly this is not a physical light, and this is not even the light of understanding a good point. This is not the light of, for example, knowing something useful. This is of a different caliber, different level. And this light, which is projected by God on such people, shows the way towards the absolute light, which is God. So if you follow light, light by itself tells you where I am coming from. And you just need to follow this light. فَأَبَانَ لَهُ الطَّرِيقِ. Then this light illuminates the path. وَسَلَّكَ بِهِ السَّبِيلِ. Not only this light shows the path, but also takes you with itself. So it's a light, and at the same time, it's an engine. It's a vehicle that takes you. Because you become light. With the help of light, then it's very difficult to move. Sorry, very easy to move and very difficult to stay. وَتَدَافَعَتْهُ الْأَبْوَابِ إِلَى بَابِ السَّلَامَةِ وَدَارِ الْإِقَامَةِ. Then they go through one gate after another gate, one gate after another. Imagine if you want to see the king, by the time you enter palace and then you reach the king, maybe there are 10 doors, maybe 20 doors. And every door has its own checkpoints. And there are guards who check whether you can go the next step or not. So they will go through these gates till they reach the last or close to the last. And this gate of peace. Salam. Gate of safety. Wadar al-iqama. That is where you can stay. There is no further, journey needed. Yes, inside that realm also there can be journey, but you don't need to go to another realm. Your journey continues in the same realm. وَثَبَتَتْ رِجْلَاهُ بِطُمَأْنِينَةِ بَدَنِهِ فِي قَرَارِ الْأَمْنِ وَالرَّاحَةِ. Then his legs will have firm position in this abode of safety. and comfort. How important is peace in Quran, in this Islam, that we call heaven abode of peace, Darus Salam. And Quran shows us the ways of peace, Subul as-Salam. How he has achieved this, if we want to summarize it, بِمَا اسْتَعْمَلَ قَلْبَهُ وَأَرْضَى رَبَّهُ. Because he has used and utilized his heart and pleased his Lord. Unless you utilize your heart, you cannot make this journey. So this is deep religious experience. It's not just something of knowledge or doctrines or something of rituals. It's something that affects the heart, transforms the heart, and then the heart will take over. So you present it to the heart, and when heart welcomes it, then the heart will be in charge, and the rest of journey will be directed by heart with the light of intellect and revelation. In another place, Imam Ali alayhi salam also says that there are people who are very closely connected with God, and maybe this takes us to the third level, and that is about the prophets, about imams, infallible imams, who are hujjah of Allah, who are people through whom we can understand will of God. In Shia Islam, our dear friends might be familiar that in Shia Islam we believe that there are two types of hujjah. One is external, and that is the prophets and messengers and imams who are infallible, and one is internal, which is intellect. We believe in harmony between intellect or reason and revelation as given to the prophets and then shared by them to us, and also after them without receiving revelation, but our imams continue infallible teaching. Anyway, Imam Ali alayhi salam says that there are people that these people are very deeply connected with God. They are not a lot in number. He says, أُولَٰئِكَ وَاللَّهِ الْأَقَلُّونَ عَدَدًا. By God, they are very small in number. Maybe in every era, only few people. But they are always there. وَالْأَعْظَمُونَ قَدْرًا. But their level is very high. Their status is very high. They are very highly regarded, although in number they are not. So in quantity, there are not many of them, but in quality, they are very high. These people receive knowledge from God without any doubt, without any confusion. They have certainty. And the Quran says, if you have certainty, you can even see the hell right now. Because heaven and hell are there, we cannot just see them. What happens is that the veil will be removed. The Quran says, كَلَّا لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عِلْمَ الْيَقِينِ لَتَرَبُنَّ الْجَحِيمِ. If you had knowledge of certainty, if you had certain knowledge, you would have seen the hell. ثُمَّ لَتَرَبُنَّهَا عَيْنَ الْيَقِينِ. Then with عَيْنُ الْيَقِينِ, which is a higher level of yaqeen, that is like seeing, of course with the eyes of the heart, you would see the hell. So these people have certainty, no doubt, no confusion, and they receive knowledge from God, and then they pass it on to people similar to them, not through teaching, not through giving a piece of paper. Here the transfer of this kind of knowledge is through spirit to spirit, heart to heart. It's not through a person's mind to paper and some lectures and then the other person. That's different. And therefore they make home for their knowledge in the hearts of the next generation. يَزْرَعُوهَا فِي قُلُوبِ أَشْبَاهِهِمْ. They plant it in the hearts of people who are similar to them. And then Imam says, حَجَمَ بِهِمُ الْعِلْمِ عَلَى حَقِيقَةِ الْبَصِيرَةِ. These are the people that knowledge comes towards them with true insight in an overwhelming way. There is hujum, like attack, but it's a nice attack. Knowledge is showering on them, poured on them. But this knowledge is not theoretical knowledge that sometimes you cannot digest, you cannot understand, you can be confused, you can be overwhelmed. No, this knowledge comes with clarity and brings insight. وَبَاشَرُوا رُوحَ الْيَقِينِ. They have touched the soul or the spirit of certainty. And what people who are only used to material life find it difficult, they find it very easy and comforting. وَاسْتَلَانُوا مَسْتَوْعَرَ الْمُتْرَفُونَ وَأَنَسُوا بَمَسْتَوْحَشَ مِنْهُ الْجَاهِلُونَ. What ignorant people or irrational people find it to be very difficult experience, and they feel lonely, they feel disconnected, these people are very used to it and they're very much enjoying it. For such people to be alone is a blessing. Not all the time, but you enjoy being with people, you enjoy also being alone. وَصَاحِبُ الدُّنْيَا بِأَبْدَانٍ أَرْوَاحُهَا مُعَلَّقَةٌ بِالْمَحَلِّ الْأَعْلَى. These people are with their bodies in this world, among people, walking on the street, going to market, going to the school, going to university, with the same body, with the same physical experiences, but they are not stuck there. This is not end of their engagement. Their souls are at the same time tied to the highest realm. بأبدان أرواحها معلقة بالمحل الأعلى. Then Imam Ali says, Ya Kumail. Imam was talking to Kumail ibn Ziyad al-Nakha'i. And Imam says, Oh Kumail, these are the caliphs, the vicegerents of God on the earth. These are the people who call others towards religion, not by words, but by their testimony, by their witness. And he says, shawqan ila ru'yatim. How eager I am to meet them. And then this at peak of it, at highest level, is for the prophets and messengers who receive revelation. But according to the Quran, revelation is not a matter of some information. It's not a matter of hearing something. It's not a matter of learning something ordinary. It's a matter of heart seeing. ما كذب الفؤاد ما رأى or أفتمارونه على ما يرى or ما ذاق البصر وما طغى. All is about seeing by heart. And this is then what in philosophical language can be referred to as knowledge by presence. And this is the type of knowledge which is not only reliable, but it is actually more powerful than any argument, than any demonstration, any deduction in logical sense. Because this is where what is known is present for you. This is where a prophet or an imam can see the reality in connection, in presence before the reality. I think my time is over. I hope I try to at least a little bit clarify the topic from a Muslim perspective. Thank you very much for your patience. All praise is due to God. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.